Okay, we're gonna go on the record right now and say this feels incomplete.
I have forgotten everything I thought.
No, I think I've got this.
Oh crap, I hope I didn't make myself forget that.
There's a chicken that escaped.
I'm gonna admit it's a little fuzzy here.
I forget where the story went after this.
What was that?
And a human, who probably once had a name.
Whatever the human's name was.
Human who doesn't have a name.
Who knows? We don't.
Hi guys, welcome to Pass the Plot. I'm Justin. I did the story this week. We also have Ludifix,
I'm sorry.
Calico,
I'm not.
Beth.
I did fine.
Oh, sure. James.
Yeah. Hi
And
guys.
Chris.
Mine had chickens in it.
What?
Interesting.
Let's
Yeah,
start at the very beginning.
a very good place to start.
I already made that joke episode 1.
You know what?
I-
It's episode 4, all right?
Or
It's time to
recycling
recite
now?
it. Yeah. We've already run through every joke we can.
episode is somebody's first.
Yep.
Here's Justin.
Misha the human, Sid Fopspindle the gnome, and Himeros Mavrocardia.
What?
We'll go with human for now. He looks pretty human. We're traveling on their way to the capital, and we're discussing the plans for tonight's lodgings. The city of Fairhaven is just up ahead. We should be able to find lodgings there, Himeros said. Ooh, Fairhaven! My Aunt Spick runs the Emporium there. We can stay with her, Sid happily supplied. The other two looked at each other uncertainly. You see, Sid came from a very large, gnomish family that ran a chain of stores. The Fopspindle Phantasmagorical Haberdashery Emporiums! There was one in nearly every major town in the realm. The thing was, the Fopspindles were rather eccentric, even by gnomish standards, and staying with them could quickly become a bit much. That being said, it generally meant a free meal and a secure place to stay for the night, and it was hard to deny the usefulness of that. After a moment of looks, they both nod. Okay, we stay with Aunt of Sid, Misha concedes. With the decision made, they continued their way into Fairhaven. Upon arriving in the town, they find a festival underway, the city streets crowded with throngs of people. After a bit of investigation, they determined that today was the day of the Blue Moon Festival. As they shuffled along the crowded streets, someone bumped into Sid, sending him tumbling into a nearby tent. As the little gnome stood up, he quickly realized he was no longer outside, but inside. The tent seemed to be rather large. Elaborate rugs were spread in many layers across the floor and walls of the tent. Equally elaborate curtains were hung to divide the space into smaller rooms, and the air was thick with the smell of some heady incense. Sid tried to find where he had entered from, so that he might exit and rejoin his party, but he could not seem to find an easy opening back to the outside. Oh, it seems we have a customer. A melodious voice, at once soft and yet seemingly ever-present, piped in. Welcome, little guest. Please, come. Tell me what it is that you desire. Sid wasn't sure what it was about that statement that unnerved him, but the words sent a small tremble up his spine and made him feel slightly uneasy. The curtains parted, making a path deeper into the heart of the tent. Without thinking, Sid began walking as directed, not knowing what fate had in store for him. And that's all I have time for. The rest of the story will just have to come the next time around.
Okay, someone
Well, I
dropped the
could tell-
There
ball.
were a few details that were left out there.
Into the story I've never heard before.
Someone,
Okay.
someone
I
dropped the
can tell
ball
all of the
hard.
pieces that
Ludifix,
you all heard all of that, got all of those details, right?
The ball was not dropped. The ball was dug into the ground and pushed into the core of the earth. That
It is a time capsule that no one marked the location of.
wow.
We'll get it
I
eventually.
can't wait to find out what happens to this guy, though.
Oh man, those were some lovely accents I never heard.
How about those names?
Yeah. Right?
How about
The name
Any
of
of
the
it.
city.
any of it? Yeah. There's definitely 3 people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I know
good.
someone dropped the ball. I will say some things afterwards too. That's all.
I'm sure you will.
Uh-huh.
I feel better now.
There are too many names in here. Okay.
Exactly 3.
May have to calm down. Just calm down. We're gonna do this.
Now I know why his was so long.
I have forgotten everything I thought. Oh God. So there were these 3 people, okay? One was called Mishnah, who was another one was called Sid Flopbottom, I think. It was a gnome. I don't remember what Mishnah was. And then there was a third person. Well, all I remember is that we decided that he was human. Okay, good. The 3 were walking along, and they... Oh, God. And they, were trying to find a place, think well, we're getting tired. Do we want to rest for the night? And Sid says, "Oh, wait a moment. I know. My family owns a shop in a nearby town called Fairwind or something like that. Let's go with Fairwind. Fairwind sounds good." And both Mishnah and whatever the human's name was looked at each other sideways because the shop, it's a hatter shop, was well known across the land. In fact, many different cities had a Flop Bottoms magical haberdasher emporium, but never quite really trusted something. Okay, so they went into town and they started wandering through, and at one point, someone ran into Sid Flopbottom, and he got knocked aside and into a tent. But when he, he didn't faint or anything like that. But when he, started to get up, he realized that now he was inside of the tent and not outside as he was before. So he looked around, and the inside was full of the most ornate carpets he'd ever seen. There was the scent of a heady incense, all around him, and the tent itself was separated by equally ornate, I guess, cloth separators. In my mind, they're rugs, but that's just because I have rugs on the brain. And he looked for an exit, but he couldn't find any. So a few moments after he woke up, there's this person that so he heard a voice saying, "Hello. What brings you in here today?" And he doesn't recognize the voice. The voice says, "Here, come this way, and I will help you." And before he realizes it, he realizes that he's moving in that direction without entirely intending to. And you'd probably like to know what happens next, but apparently that's a story for another day. So, oh God.
Yep.
Yep.
Uh-huh. That makes so much more sense now.
He's still going.
So,
God have mercy on my and whoever sees this soul.
Mm-hmm.
So Ludifix, when I
Yes?
first saw that and I saw your freak out at the beginning, I thought you were playing it up for the camera, and I was gonna take you to task for that, and I was wrong.
No?
I was very wrong.
How about
As
all
I
that?
was listening to it, I could feel the names and events drain out of my other ear.
Yeah, there was a festival, you guys. There was a
There was a
There's
festival.
a festival. It's our favorite thing.
There was a destination in
Festival
mind.
for the rest of it.
and everyone
still
had a
remember-
name and race at some point.
I will say that regardless of how awful I did, I stand behind it because it is what happened. So there you have it.
I feel very confident that I nailed all the details that I was given.
Same.
I'm still waiting for these chickens to show up.
I didn't mention any chickens. Like I said, I did not add anything to the story.
Okay. The chicken
You
will
added
be
nuance.
explained.
Okay.
We know.
All right. Third up is Calico.
Good job.
No, I think I've got this. I don't think it's so hard. Okay, so there were three people. There once were three people, and who were traveling together, and their names were Mishnah, Sid Flopbottom, and then there was a human who doesn't have a name. They were traveling together, and after a day of traveling, they were tired, and they said, well, where are we going to stay for the night? And Sid said, my family actually lives in this next town. We can go stay with them for the night. And Mishnah and the human were wary of this idea because they knew that Sid's family were hatters. And they had hat shops all over. It was Flop Bottom Magical Haberdashery. And that was suspicious for some reason. So Sid went on ahead to make sure everything was all right. But as Sid walked through the town, he ran into somebody. Literally. Or that person ran into him, I guess. Sid fell into a tent and was knocked out. And when he woke up, he looked around and the tent was beautiful. It had lush rugs and the fabric hangings, partitions of rooms, and it was huge. It was this enormous tent. It didn't seem like it should be so big. But he realized he didn't see an exit. And then he heard a voice saying, "Oh, welcome." I'm gonna admit it's a little fuzzy here. Please come with me. And Sid did not recognize the voice, but he felt compelled to follow the voice nonetheless. And what happened next? Well, we'll find that out some other time, maybe, perhaps.
Perhaps even.
Okay. So
I did not remember that I decided that being a hatter was suspicious somehow.
I'd like to.
The way you threw out that word was like it was like a dirty word. They were hatter.
Damn hatter.
So Ludifex added a detail that was just, whichever character it was, like, fell into this tent, and he heard a voice that he didn't recognize. And it's like, how many of you have walked into a shop and someone asks if you need help, and you're like, oh, I don't know this voice. Like, like that detail got created, and it's like, oh.
Every time.
Of course you don't recognize a random shopkeeper in a random
I don't know you. Well, this is my shop.
I need an adult.
How many times have you been randomly knocked into a tent and then you're like, oh, I know this person.
It's fine.
Oh, hey, how's it going? What's up with the tent?
Bob, I didn't know this is your tent.
I really
just
like
on
what
last
you've
Friday.
done with the place. No one made any the rug ties the room together jokes?
No.
No one?
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
No,
everyone
sorry.
seems to have
maybe.
gotten really confused.
I stuck
by
to the facts
curtains.
and the details.
Sorry, what was that? What was that, Justin?
Everyone seems to have gotten really confused about curtains. You're like, there's some kind of fabric mysteriously.
What are curtains? I only have blinds. Blinds, I tell you.
I actually was trying to the best of my memory, reproduce what Ludifex had said.
It is true. It is true.
And so there. That's my.
And
That's why
Ludifex
I
did not
said-
use the word curtain.
No,
No.
'cause
That is correct.
He
I
did
And
did
let's
not.
remember, Ludifex also brought us just lots of bouquets of flowers on the ground in episode 1. So,
Yeah,
par for
yeah.
the course. So, let's continue this wonderful story.
Yeah.
Has in no way gone off the rails due to someone.
human who just doesn't have a name.
Here's number 4, Beth.
Okay, we're
Yay!
gonna go on the record right now and say this feels incomplete, but let's go with it. There were 3 traveling companions out on the road together. There was Misha, Sid Flopbottom, and a human who probably once had a name, but human. Yeah. And they were traveling, and it was getting late. They're going along the road, and they were trying to figure out where they were going to stay for the night. And Sid said, my family lives close by. We can stay with them. And Misha and the other human were like, because they knew that Sid's family were haberdashers. And they had haberdasher shops all across the land that were called Flopbottom's Magical Haberdashery. And for some reason, this was suspicious, and the rest of the party was like, not so much with the hats. So, Sid went on ahead to check with his family to make sure that it was okay to stay there. And so he did. He went forward into the city, and as he was walking, he fell! Or rather, he was fallen into. And he fell and knocked over into a tent, and he lost consciousness. And when he awoke, he found himself inside the tent. It was lush and beautiful. There were rugs, beautiful rugs everywhere. And multiple rooms? This tent seemed much larger than it should have been. And so, he started to look around when he heard a voice, "Come, follow me." Didn't really recognize the voice, but for some reason he felt compelled to follow it. And so he got up and began to follow the voice. And what happens next, we'll find out later. Sorry, whoever's next.
That's my line.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like I'm sorry is just the ending, the traditional ending.
Well, honestly, I gave it to James, and I'm like, he's gonna think this is all my fault, and it's not.
He did.
I wanted to apologize to everyone, but them's the rules. I can't.
No, the second I listened to Calipos, I'm like, there is massive amounts of information missing. I can tell already.
That's how I kind of felt watching Ludifix's.
Yeah.
What was the gnome's name?
Sid Fopspindle. Although he's now bottom.
Fopspin. Okay. Fopspin. Yeah. All right.
Well, he's flop bottom now.
No. Don't tell us the human's name. That's human number 3. I love it.
And
Okay.
The top was Fopspindle's Phantasmagorical Haberdashery Emporium.
It's just a magical haberdashery.
It's a haberdasher. Ugh.
Yeah, and apparently they're very looked down upon in our version of the world.
Haberdashers.
Why did he have to be a haberdasher? Why couldn't he be a milliner?
Haberdashers are the dirt folk of this world.
Ew.
Could have been a cobbler, but no.
Gross.
You had to be a haberdasher.
Could have been a doctor. I forgot. I wanted to just point out
Possibly.
that I had to do some editing of James's video.
Oh,
When I got this video,
Oh, yeah.
was he naked?
well, he may have just held his phone sideways, and the phone didn't adjust. So the entire thing was done sideways.
Oh,
Yep. And I didn't notice until after I recorded.
And I'm
Of course,
sitting
when I
there.
was recording, it showed me right side up.
I'm sitting there on, my one take that I'm allowed to listen to this thing, going, shit. Just- So yeah.
and somehow that's where the chicken came in. Anyway.
All right. Let's watch James's.
Oh God,
Yay.
no.
All right, let's do this. All right. So I got the story from Beth. Let's get this on with. Just kidding. There. Yeah, for real this time. Oh crap! I hope I didn't make myself forget that. Okay, so there were three men traveling together. and they were going through the forest, and one was named Misha, one was named Herschel Flowerbottom, and one of them was a human, and Beth decided not to give me the name for some reason. I don't know why. She's just that kind of person. What can I say? Okay, so they're going along, and it's getting late, and they're like, "Oh shit, we gotta get some. We gotta stop somewhere for the night." But they weren't near a town, so they're trying to figure out where to go. So they're going along, and Flambottom was all like, "All right, we can stay at my house and my family's house." And he thought it was a great idea, but his companions weren't so keen on that because apparently, well, Mr. Flowerbottom's family were a bunch of haberdashers. And quite frankly, you can't trust haberdashers. So none of them were too keen on going to stay at his family's house. So they're like, no, fuck that. So, one of them, Sid, was like, "Hey, I'm gonna go scatter ahead, and I will see if I can find some place for us to stay that's not a haberdashery." So he went on his way and left the others behind. And he eventually got to a small town, which was weird since they weren't near a town. But, they got there. And so he's in town, he's looking around, and all of a sudden he gets crashed into and he falls down. And he's knocked unconscious. And let's see, he wakes up later, splitting headache, all like he just woke up from a bender. And he's like, "Oh man, where am I?" And he looks around and he's like, "Oh man, I'm in some sort of weird tent." And the tent was, he looked around, it was draped in all sorts of draperies and rugs and pillows, and there was, holy shit, there's extra rooms in this place. He explored and he's like, "Oh, they just went farther and farther." And he's like, "This place was huge, my god." And yeah, so there's an amazing tent, like it was bigger on the inside. I don't know what the outside looks like, so I can't really say that, can I? But anyway, so he's exploring, and shit, I kind of forget where the story went after this, but we'll find out next time what happens, because that's always another story for another time. Yeah, good luck.
So I'm noticing.
So I forgot some things.
Chickens.
I was going to comment on the lack of chickens that I was promised.
Yes. Yeah.
Yo,
There was a cat.
We're getting to the
Yes.
chicken.
There was a cat.
Yes.
Apparently a memory erasing cat, but that is a better excuse than I had.
I like Herschel. Great,
Yes,
Yeah,
great,
his name got
great
fancier.
new character.
His name got fancier again. It kind of went
Yeah.
back towards
But
But
the.
then Sid was the one. Then Sid went off to go into town, right? Because I thought that we got Herschel and we got Sid.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Herschel and Sid were both in that story.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of in between. There was a tent that was bigger on the inside, and there was a town that wasn't a town, but maybe it was a town. It's very
That's
There was a
very
town that wasn't close to them, but then it was.
yeah. It's
It was
very,
very
unincorporated
fantasy,
area.
it was a very Feywild. Things are shifting.
And where was the haberdasher if they were in the middle of the woods, not near a town?
It's a haberdasher in the middle
It's
of
a
the woods.
mystical.
I wouldn't
It's a
trust that
magical
hat shop.
haberdasher.
A random haberdasher in the middle of the woods would be more of a reason for everyone to be like, I
Sure.
don't know
That's true.
about this.
Tune in
Although
this
now I
week
feel
when we
like-
demonize hat makers.
Though I think it's
I
going to
do
be my next
apologize
Halloween
for-
course,me whenever that happens to be. A
The
demon
ha-
haberdasher.
The hats are people. Yeah.
Now, I do apologize for forgetting about that voice completely.
Yep. Nope. She's gone.
Yeah. Well,
Bye.
I got no dialogue in mind, so.
All right, and the glorious end. Let us blaze on to glory.
Bring us home, Chris.
Now I'm a little worried that the chicken's not even in my story.
You lie about chickens?
There better be chickens.
Dreamed up chickens.
All right, here we go. Number 6. Bringing it home is me.
Okay. First off, there's a chicken that escaped and is right by me, so you might hear some chicken noises.
Oh.
Secondly, what was that? That was not a story. That was the setup for a story. All right, let's do this. Okay. Once there were three friends traveling together, in a dark wood. Yes, okay. 3 friends traveling together, walking through a dark wood. There was Misha, Herschel Flowerbottom, and unnamed human number 3, which apparently Beth did not name and then traveled down the line to James. As Misha.
Screw you, James.
And Herschel and human were traveling through the woods. It was getting dark and getting weird. Right. And they decided that they should probably set up somewhere for the night. And Mr. Flowerbottom said, "Oh, well, my family lives around here. Why don't we go off to their house and spend the night?" And Misha and human were like, "But your family are haberdashers, and we really don't like haberdashers." So
much haberdasher prejudice in this group.
And with that, I guess Misha just decided to wander off alone into the dark woods in the middle of the night, try to find a different place to rest. So Misha came to a village, which was strange since they weren't near a village at all, and apparently got knocked over and hit his head and fell unconscious. And later he woke up with a pounding headache. Like he'd, been at a huge bender all night long and just was really, really hammered. Well, not hammered, but hungover. And when he woke up, he was inside a tent. And it was just this lavish tent full of rugs and tapestries and curtains, just gorgeous. And James assumed it was bigger on the inside, but he didn't see the outside, so it might have been just as big on the outside. So, with that, you've got Herschel Flowerbottom and Human 3 off at the Haberdashers. You've got Misha in this mystery tent after he went to a town, after being knocked unconscious and waking up here. And that's where James ended it. No story. It just kind of said, yeah, these 3 guys were traveling together, and then they went their separate ways, and Misha was maybe going to have an adventure, but who knows? We don't. So, yeah.
Oh. Way to throw me under the bus, James.
I think it became Misha who gets into the tent.
What do you have against blaming me?
After getting thoroughly drunk.
Yes.
Well, because James said that he had a pounding headache, like he'd had a bender all night long, and I tried to say that again, but I went too far with the drunk imagery.
I'm just gonna say in my defense, the intro, mine clearly was trying to blame someone up the chain from me. Like I was trying to make it clear that I did not receive a name.
That's true.
No, I get that now. He threw you under the bus, so I told him.
And among all the things I did wrong, I took full responsibility for every single goddamn thing I screwed up.
But let's see what we fixed. Misha and
true.
curtains.
Yeah.
Curtains made it back.
It's curtains for us.
No, when I started describing the tent, I was like, did I remember the word curtains?
Apparently.
So I do want to personally apologize to you, Justin. You had a much more intricate story that I wanted to get across the best I could, but did not have the capability. The spirit was willing, but the flesh was weak. Everyone here knows I have no talent for names. I might be able to handle names like first names, but like you dump an entire name on me, I'm just going to be like,
I wasn't
person.
the full names to make it through, but I was expecting the like first names to stick through a little bit longer.
And it was Sid, right? I wasn't wrong about Sid.
It was Sid.
Okay.
And you were
Just
really
checking.
close with Misha. It ended up becoming back to Misha because
Yep.
I'm really sad that Sid got dropped right before me. So
No, I
close.
brought him back. He's
Yeah.
the one that went to 10.
Oh,
The funny thing for me, I think, was
Oh yeah, I forgot that you did. Yeah, I think that's why I didn't add Sid back in mind. Because I'm like, there was no Sid in this trio.
Chris.
that must have been
Chris.
Misha
Could
who
have been the human.
Misha's close to Sid.
I was fourth, and Chris was last. And Chris,
No, I mean because James didn't name a Sid in the beginning.
Right.
yeah, it came
Yeah.
later.
That's
Right,
why I didn't have a Sid in mind.
Right, but so he has Sid leave the party, and you're like, well, there was no Sid, so it must have been Misha
Right.
who
Yeah.
was Sid.
That's
Because
what.
Misha and Sid are close to each other.
In reality, I was correcting the fact that I messed up the name earlier.
Yeah, no, you got the correct person going to the town that didn't exist in the story.
I think my
Yep.
favorite part off screen was after Chris had recorded going last, he came back and he's like, without any spoilers, did you get a story?
Yeah, I wanted to know if there was a story before it hit me.
Yeah.
And then-
After recording mine, I really wanted to talk about this.
Yeah. And I told him, I was like, no.
I was so. I get now that it was a choice by Justin, but I was so close to writing my own ending. I was just like, no, someone dropped the ball here. I am giving this an ending, and I decided against it because I didn't have one.
Hey, I ended the story where I think the story ended to me, at least.
You did.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's like,
No,
I will take my
you got
faults.
the end correct.
Yeah, we all got the end correct in that there was more coming later, but given so much of the rest of the detail got dropped, it just became very
I think
Who knows what the hell happened?
confusing.
What was it? Was it James who dropped the "There's more story later" or whatever?
Yeah.
So I didn't
Yeah.
have that. I didn't have that on mine either.
That's true.
Yeah.
Dropped
And
the boy.
Point that Sid
And I dropped the name of the Emporium.
from the point that Sid gets knocked into the tent, you had pretty much everything that I gave you, except for the curtains. You turned those
Right.
into all rugs.
yeah.
I
You
never
didn't-
learned what curtains were.
Yeah. And then by the time I got to Chris, we had lost the proprietor of the magic tent.
Yeah.
Also, by the time we got to Chris, this was some mysterious fae tent that just showed up in the middle of the dark woods.
Yeah.
No, it's a mysterious tent that showed up in a mysterious town.
Yeah. And it's bigger on the inside. Everything.
Yes.
All right, let's
All right,
bring it back and see where this all began. Is this already full? Now it's full.
Nope, there we go.
Misha the human, Sid Fopspindle the gnome, and Himeros Mavrocardia, the, we'll go with human for now. He looks pretty human. We're traveling on their way to the capital, and we're discussing the plans for tonight's lodgings. The city of Fairhaven is just up ahead. We should be able to find lodgings there, Himeros said. Ooh, Fairhaven! My Aunt Spick runs the Emporium there. We can stay with her, Sid happily supplied. The other two looked at each other uncertainly. You see, Sid came from a very large, gnomish family that ran a chain of stores. The Fopspindle Phantasmagorical Haberdashery Emporiums! There was one in nearly every major town in the realm. The thing was, the Fopspindles were rather eccentric, even by gnomish standards. And staying with them could quickly become a bit much. That being said, it generally meant a free meal and a secure place to stay for the night, and it was hard to deny the usefulness of that. After a moment of looks, they both nod. Okay, we stay with Aunt of Sid, Misha concedes. With the decision made, they continued their way into Fairhaven. Upon arriving in the town, they find a festival underway, the city streets crowded with throngs of people. After a bit of investigation, they determined that today was the day of the Blue Moon Festival. As they shuffled along the crowded streets, someone bumped into Sid, sending him tumbling into a nearby tent. As the little gnome stood up, he quickly realized he was no longer outside, but inside. The tent seemed to be rather large. Elaborate rugs were spread in many layers across the floor and walls of the tent. Equally elaborate curtains were hung to divide the space into smaller rooms, and the air was thick with the smell of some heady incense. Sid tried to find where he had entered from, so that he might exit and rejoin his party, but he could not seem to find an easy opening back to the outside. "Oh, it seems we have a customer." A melodious voice, at once soft and yet seemingly ever-present, piped in. "Welcome, little guest. Please, come. Tell me what it is that you desire." Sid wasn't sure what it was about that statement that unnerved him, but the words sent a small tremble up his spine and made him feel slightly uneasy. The curtains parted, making a path deeper into the heart of the tent. Without thinking, Sid began walking as directed, not knowing what fate had in store for him. And that's all I have time for. The rest of the story will just have to come the next time around.
What a lovely story we've never heard.
Yeah.
Until now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see,
that's true.
I didn't realize when it got to me that it was, well, Sid who went to the tent, because one, I never heard of a Sid. But I didn't realize it was the haberdasher that, his family, that he's the one who went in the tent, because I was like, okay, well, yeah, he knew where he was going. It's everyone else who was like, eh. So it was obviously someone else who went to this tent.
That's what you get when someone knocks you into a tent.
I like how eventually it was just one person that went to the town instead of all three.
And Sid actually was scared of the voice. He did, the compelling part happened, but he was, it
there was no voice in mine.
His spine. Yeah, you didn't.
He just went to a tent and was like, this is a nice place.
Yep. The end.
I guess we'll stay here tonight.
Right? That should have been there's your ending. And then he called his friends, and they all stayed in the really nice random tent.
And they started a new TV show about renovating tents called This Old Tent.
The tent that was bigger on the inside than the outside, even though they never saw the outside.
Exactly.
In next week's episode, we'll break down the social structure of this land and why everyone hates haberdashers. It's a very elaborate caste system in this place.
No, your family is haberdashers, and we don't associate with haberdashers.
I'm sorry, you're two castes below us. We don't.
I'm sorry. You belong to the haberdashers. They're the untouchables.
Yes.
It's all the mercury.
Oh boy. Well, that was unexpectedly fun, considering how little information I received.
Yep.
Yeah.
I haven't yet done this, so I now apologize to you, our loyal watchers.
I mean, it's probably very amusing.
I apologize to our disloyal watchers.
Okay, yes.
They exist too.
And I apologize to no one.
As the person who made the story, and then having it get so screwed up so early, made it really fun for me to watch all of your faces as you watched my story the first time. You're all just like...
The realization,
my face was more of a, oh God, I am going to hell for this.
I mean, it was 2 minutes of just of loot effects, just like melting down.
Yeah.
Cool.
Who's signing off? Who's starting this off?
So that was my story, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Bye.
Have a good night.
Night, everyone.
Haberdashers! Good night.
Good night.
Bye, all. Thanks for watching.
Please don't kick me out yet. I'm still having fun.